Let's do this. What's going on YouTube? It's fineokay, and today I'm bringing you guys a god guide on the new warrior in SMITE, Achilles. He is well, he's probably going to be a soul laner, but I think he'll be viable in the jungle as well because you can actually choose between power and tankiness with his passive, which we'll talk about in a second. And he might even be viable in support as like a pressure support. So basically what we're going to be talking about is the soul lane. Not really sure how you'll be able to play him in the jungle. I know that items like Hydra's Lament will work really well on him, and his scaling is really good, and it'll probably get nerfed. So if you want to play him in jungle, this isn't for that. This is for the soul lane. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about his abilities, and we'll talk about his start, how to play him in the laning phase, some of his mechanics, his build, and stuff like that. You know, we'll go through everything, and we'll probably even have a little question and answer there at the end. So the first thing to make sure you guys know is this is a warrior with an execute. His ultimate has an execute 30% threshold, and you can use it up to 5 times, similar to like a Scylla. How she gets like a reset if she kills somebody. If he executes somebody, he'll get a reset, and you actually have a long time to use it again. So if I execute a person, I get about like, I don't know, it might be like 7 or 8, maybe even 10 seconds. It doesn't actually tell you. I could probably count down, but let's just say 10 seconds to be safe, where you can actually use it again. So that being said, let's go through his abilities. So his passive, Achilles adapts to the tide of battle. Achilles can choose to wear armor, granting him bonus health protections, or forgo it, granting him bonus movement speed and physical power. So at the beginning of the game, you're in the fountain, and there's a indicator that comes up, and it lets you choose between wearing your armor or not wearing your armor. So if you wear your armor, you get 35 health plus 10 per level. You know, whatever, 5 protections plus 1 per level. So that's what is it? 25 protections each at level 20. So that's pretty decent. That's going to be really good for late game. However, after playing for about like 8 games of Achilles, I like to just go forego the armor and just get the bonus power because it's really good in lane. You're going to have power when your opponent doesn't have power, which is going to let you outtrade them really easily with your autos. So that's why I forego the armor, and also the movement speed is just really nice to have. You know, like running back to lane and just like, you know, having extra movement speed on your opponent in solo is just really useful. So I like to forego the armor, and keep the power and movement speed. So that's his passive. You just get to select it. In order to do that, you left click when the indicator's up and it switches in between them, and if you want to choose that, you just right click and then you'll actually get it. And then we'll go through his abilities real quick. Shield of Achilles. So basically all this is, I don't want to read through all of them because that'd be kind of ridiculous. So I'm just going to tell you what they do. So Shield of Achilles is just it's basically his wave clear. It's like a Hunbat's 2. The targeter is a little bit different. Let me turn these on normal casting so I can actually hover them real quick and level up real quick. Get to level 3. Okay, so I have all 3 of the abilities. So, like I always play on instant casting, so I don't have the targeter. But so this is the targeter. It's a little different than a Hunbat's 3, but basically this little short cone right here, if they're in that, they'll take the full damage, 100% damage, and also get stunned, and it'll scale up to 1.5 seconds. So that's a pretty good stun. But if they're further out, they'll only take 80% of the damage and they won't get stunned. So you have to be pretty far up close to get the stun. So it's similar to like a Bellona shield bash in the indicator. So that's her 1, or his 1 rather. And then his 2 is basically just like a Nike 2. It's a buff to his other abilities. It makes him heal off of his abilities, but it's minions and gods, but there's only a maximum amount. Right here it says it max heals per ability. If you rank this up, it can get up to 4, but it starts at 2 and 3. So, however, you always get a plus 15% physical power bonus when you click it, when you click your 2, and a plus 15% protection bonus, and a 20% crowd control reduction. So this is why I'm going to be leveling this ability last, or at least after my 1 and my 3, because these base numbers are already good enough. 15% physical power, 15% protections. That's really good for, you know, team fights or just laning. So I'm going to be leveling that after my 1 and my 3. And then his 3 is one of his cool, or I think it's his coolest ability. It's similar to like a Susanoo 1 in that he gets like multiple uses of it. So basically it's so let me just use these real quick to show you. So I click my 2, and it buffs it. And then his 3 is a dash. So you dash wherever, and then you get an indicator to throw out your spear. So like this. And if you, well, I guess it ran out. Oops. Let me go grab it again. I ran out of time. By the way, your 2 only lasts 6 seconds, so you have to use that for 6 seconds. And then, so his dash is you go like this. And if you hit a person, you actually are able to dash again. You get 2 uses of it. Something to note with this ability is it actually is 2 separate uses of the ability. So things like Hydra's Lament will proc twice, things like Glad Shield will proc twice, stuff like that. So it's 2 separate uses of the ability. Mage's Blessing will proc twice on this, so Mage's Blessing is something you could look to go But we'll talk about the build in a second. So if you don't hit anybody and you just throw it out, it goes on cooldown. But like I said, it is two separate uses. So if I use my 3, it's a little awkward because I'm on normal cast and I'm not used to that. I use my 3 and then I hit them, so it resets the cooldown instantly. As you guys can see in the bottom of the bar, the ability bar, it actually just like instantly reset the cooldown. It was like 0 seconds for like half a second. So now look how long I've had my 3 not on cooldown. So I'm just going to use it again, and I dash. But then it goes on cooldown, right? So this means you want to use it almost like, not instantly, but you want to use it pretty quick so you can get it back on cooldown. Because it's not like if you save it forever and then use it again, you're going to get another dash. It's not just like infinite amount of dashes. You have to use it pretty quick to get the benefit of it going on cooldown, so you can have it up again for 2 more dashes, right? And then I'll just show you his ult real quick. Like I said, it's a simple execute. It is it takes a good amount of there's a big wind up on it, right? And it's a little slow. So if they're trying to dodge it, it's pretty easy to dodge. It's also pretty hard to hit for the same reason. So I'm just gonna get this guy and execute real quick. I'm just trying to get him to execute. So he's in execute range. All I do is ult, and boom, it hits him. Like I said, you can use it up to 5 times, so look, I have an indicator. So it's 10 seconds down here. We saw it was 10 seconds. So you have 10 seconds to use it again. So this means if somebody else is in execute range, you execute them, bam, you reset it again, and you get your execute again. So it's pretty useful having an execute on a warrior. So I'm going to put these all back to normal or instant casting, so I'm used to it. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to talk about the build now, or at least the starting build. I'm going to be going Warrior's Blessing because it's OP. It's the best start arm right now by far for solo laners. So I'll be going Warrior's Blessing Tier 1 boots and a Health Chalice and TP. That's just what I prefer. That's what I've been going. However, you could just not go boots and go more health pots, which is fine. You're going to have a blue buff, so you don't have to worry about mana sustain, and you get mana back from Warrior's Blessing, so that's really good. Or you could also just go multi-pots if you like. You're not going to need your blue buff or something like that. Whatever you need to do. And you could also just not go TP and, elect to go something like Sprint or maybe like Blink or something, maybe even Horrific if you feel like you have a lot of kill potential. That's something you can do. But I would not go Boots 1 if I went that active because I can't TP in with full Boots. I would go this, and then I would probably go a bunch of health pots, maybe even 4 health pots with my Sprint and not TP. So that would be the start. But like I said, I prefer to go TP and Boots 1 so I can TP in with full Boots as fast as possible and just keep up the pressure. So that would be your starting build. Something you can look to go, even though I am going to be going Warrior's Blessing pretty much every game just because it's so good. It just gives you so much versatility, gives you tankiness, allows you to play more aggressive because you won't get hit by, or you won't get hit for any damage by the minions or the enemy soul laner. It gives you sustainability, everything that you need as a soul laner. If you get ganked, you're just so tanky before they have any damage items. So the early ganks are really hard. So yeah, I'm almost always going Warrior's Blessing, but if you really want to try Mage's Blessing, it does proc twice on his 3. And it's really easy to hit all the minions and the enemy solo laner with your 1, so it has a lot of poke potential. So Mage's Blessing is at least viable. If Warrior's Blessing was in the game, it would definitely be Mage's Blessing pickup, but Warrior's Blessing is just so good that it's kind of weird to not pick it up. So, talk about the laning phase a little bit. Obviously, I don't have an enemy god to test here with, but I can show you basically what you want to be doing. So at level 1, I like to grab my 3. You can also grab your 1, and something you can do is go behind the tier 1 tower when the wave is actually meeting, or the wave is at their tier 2, and 1 the entire wave there. That way you get more damage on it, so that when you walk back to the lane, it'll be back off cooldown. But if you don't do that, I like to grab my 3 level 1, and then I'll walk up and hit the enemy solo, and then the minions will aggro to me. And what I can do is I can dash, and if he's like going towards my minions, I can hit the entire wave plus him with my 3. Keep in mind that the minions were grouped up because I aggroed him. And if I hit him with that 3, then I get my 3 again, and that way I can hit the wave twice with my 3. So that's a lot of damage. It's a little bit more damage than your 1 at level 1. This is 100 damage plus 18 scaling, and then this is, what, 130 plus 10? So it's a little bit more damage, and also it's just a lower cooldown, 10 seconds versus 15 seconds. So you're going to have that up 5 seconds faster so that you can clear the wave and make sure you get to your blue buff. Because an awkward situation right now in solo is that you're clearing the wave while your jungler maybe is doing your blue. And you want credit for that blue so you can hit level 2. So something you have to keep in mind is trying to clear as fast as possible so you can get over to that blue buff. So yeah, And Hughes just donated $20 and said, "These guides, you roll." Thanks a lot, Hughes. Thank you so much for the $20 mid guide. No big deal, but yeah, appreciate it, man. So yeah, that's something you can do at level 1, and then just throughout the laning phase, you want to be basically hitting the enemy solo with, just like at level 1. Throughout the laning phase, you just want to be hitting the enemy solo with your 3 and also the minions. So you want to make sure that you're playing super aggro, hitting the enemy solo with that 3 so you can get it again, and you can hit the entire wave with it. Because at level 3, you're actually going to be able to full clear it pretty easily if you hit them, group up the wave, and get 2 uses of your 3 and your 1, because your 1 does a lot of damage, 160 at level at rank 2, right? So that's basically just how you play him throughout the laning phase. Like I said, you want to play super aggressive because at level 5, you have a huge power spike. You have a 30% execute. And there's a lot of times when I'm playing another warrior where they're at 30%, I just don't have kill potential because they can just play back. But I'm a warrior with execute. So if I'm consistently poking him out through the laning phase with my 3, playing super aggressive, then, you know, I should be looking for the kill at level 5 with my execute. Another thing to keep in mind with certain matchups is you have the stun on your 1, and it's a long stun, right? You're going to be maxing this first. So the 1.4, 1.5 second stun, a lot of characters that usually have good pressure, like Bellona, Osiris, if you stun Osiris's tether for 1.5 seconds, just like that, or you stun Bellona's bludgeon for 1.5 seconds, that's a long time where they're not going to be clearing it. It's really good damage, so for Osiris, you stun his tether and then just walk out of his tether, and then boom, like that's half of his kit gone. As far as, like, you know, if he stuns you, then he gets his 1 and his 2 confirmed. So that kind of thing, keep in mind to make sure you are stunning people with your 1, interrupting their clear and stuff like that. And another thing to keep in mind is this does give you heals, so stacking up the you only get 2 for it, and it's going to be the last ability you max, but stacking up the wave and hitting the entire wave with it is really important because you also get the physical power from it, so it helps your clear. And it lasts 6 seconds, so make sure you get the hits off of your 3 and your 1, right? You want that extra physical power on both abilities, so don't, you know, sit there and waste time and not use your 1 as your 2 is running out, right? Make sure that you get you group up the wave, like I said, just like I mentioned, hitting the enemy god, and make sure you use your 1 before the 2 runs out, because that's extra physical power scaling to that 1 and to your 3. So that's basically how you play laning phase. Of course, you play super aggressive with TP back in with boots, and then you have so much kill potential, especially if you forego armor. So let's look how much physical power This is about where I'd be, level 8 with full boots, and then I have my passive. I'm at 66 power, so that's 11 more power than anybody else would add. Well, actually, it's I'm getting, what am I getting? I'm getting 26 power, so I'm getting 26 more power than anybody else would have right now. So that's insane. I'm going to be out-trading them with my autos easily. The only person that would be getting power is, I think, Hercules. That's why I think it would be a decent matchup with Herc. So yeah, you're just going to be out-trading super hard. That's why I like to forego the armor. So yeah, that's basically it. Let's talk about the build now. So we're going to be going Warriors Blessing, like I said. I do like Glad Shield on him, just because you hit everybody with your 1. The huge cone on it, right? It goes pretty far. You can hit a lot of people with it, so you're going to get multiple procs of Glad Shield. It synergizes well with your 2, because you're already getting heals for hitting your abilities, so it just kind of doubles that, I guess. And also, this is 2 separate abilities, like I mentioned, so you're getting 2 separate procs of Glad Shield, right? So I like going that, and you can hit multiple people with your 3 and your 1, like I already said. So it's just, all in all, it works pretty well with him. So I like Glad Shield on him. Good sustain too. And then of course I like going into Stone of Gaia. There's a couple of builds that, little variation in the build that you can, you know, go just based on their team comp or based on your play style. But I like going Stone of Gaia, just infinite sustain. It's just so good for the laning phase. This power spike right here is absolutely insane. You're going to be out sustaining everybody if they don't go this build, so it's really good for winning the lane. And then I do like to go Hide of the Urchin next. You kind of want to get a bridge. This is another health item. It gives you physical and magical defense. You already have a physical defense item, so this will put you at like a normal physical defense area. And then depending on what's going on in the game, if their mage is a big deal right now, you're going to be going Pestilence here, and then going Nemean here. And this is the standard warrior build right now. If their mage isn't that big of a deal and you're more worried about the physicals, then you can go Nemean here. And if their mage still isn't a big deal, you can always go Mantle, and then late game you can sell this for Pestilence or whatever. Maybe you don't even, your support has Pestilence, you can go Bulwark. It's just kind of based on the game, you know. And this is just like your normal, really tanky, really good build. You're just a brawling warrior at this point. However, I do think CDR is really good on this character. So there's another build that I call the variety build, because he really likes to go this build from watching him for a while. So he'll go something like Glad Shield, breastplate, Stone of Gaia, something like this. Just maybe switch it up, switch up where the items are bought. But basically, this is the build. You're at full CDR without your blue buff. With your blue buff, you're overcapped, but that's no big deal. And then late game, you can sell this for Nemean, and that's something you could also do. I like CDR on him. At this point, it makes my dash a 7-second cooldown, and I can use it twice, right? So that's just so hard for a carry to deal with. It's gonna be really hard to actually lock you down and kill you. It would be 6 seconds if I had my blue buff, so it's even worse. So this is definitely a viable build on him, I think. You definitely don't want to go like the mystical mail route, I think. You could, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like with your execute and these abilities, you just want to have them up as much as possible. So I like that. And then keep in mind, if you go TP, you want to have thorns with your Nemean, right? So that's something you could do. And one more thing that we should talk about is you get movement speed from your passive, right? So late game, let me just go back to that build real quick. It was Glad Shield. Let's just say it was Glad Shield, Stone of Gaia, Nemean, Pestilence, Mantle. Let's say you had this build. No Urchin with this build, right? But something you could do is sell these. Since you get movement speed from your passive, you could go Masamune Stone Cutting. This is super aggressive. This gives you a lot of damage late game. Really tanky. I think at level 20, this build would give me 3k health. And then if I wanted to maybe go a little bit more tankiness, a little more survivability, I could go this. And then I'm at 33. This would put you at 3,300 at level, 3,300 health at level 20. Sorry, stumbled over my words there a little bit. And then you get the Masamune Wingblade passes, which are really good for surviving. Same thing with Mantle and stuff like that. So this is also a viable build late game. However, I do think the passive on your armor is a little bit better late game. So late game, you would probably have this as your build. Probably something like maybe even have a mid guardian here. You have 10% CDR, but this would make you super tanky. A lot of good passives in these items. And if you have the armor stance, you're even more tanky. It's gonna put you at what, 249 physical and 203 magical if you're in your armor stance. So that's really good. So yeah, that's basically the build. I'm gonna hit level 20 real quick just so I can show you guys some things, some mechanics with him real quick. Also, you get 50 power, guys, at level 20 on him, which is just absolutely insane. That's why the armorless build I just really like 50 extra power on a warrior is kind of insane. Gives you your scaling is pretty good, like I mentioned before when I was talking about like jungling and stuff. Your scaling is really good on him, so that extra 50 power is pretty good. Yo, I love it. Thank you for the 200 bits. Says keep being one of the best theory crafters in Smite. Thanks a lot, man. So, anyway, some mechanics I want to talk about is his 3 is a dash reset, right? So it procs Glad Shield twice. We already talked about that kind of stuff. Hydra's twice. But something about all of his abilities is that you can actually auto cancel decently well. It takes a while to do it, but anyway, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna dash, cancel by right clicking, auto, throw out my 3, auto 2, dash again, right click, throw it out, boom, and then I can use my dash. I'm basically just weaving autos in between my abilities, but something to keep in mind is that I'm right-clicking after I dash so I don't have to throw out my spear. I'm just going to sell my build real quick just so I can get full cooldown, just so I can keep doing this.
I can't wait.
We'll go Hydras just to show you that as well. We're at full cooldown. We already were, but we'll go this as well. Okay, my build's looking weird, but anyway. So the full combo, what that looks like is this. So I'm going to auto, dash, right-click, auto, throw it out. Okay, so basically I'm weaving in autos. I'm right-clicking to not throw out my 3, so I can get an auto in and then throw out my 3. And that's basically it. Notice that Hydra's procs, so I'm going to dash. Hydra's didn't proc. I throw it out. Now Hydra's procs. Same thing here. No Hydra's proc. I throw out my 3, then it procs, right? So it procs after doing the damage, throwing out the damage on it. Also, the 2 actually auto-cancels decently well, right? So if I'm just autoing, that takes a little bit longer than actually just doing, just clicking my 2 in between the auto. Let me get my 2 back off cooldown. So that's a nice little auto cancel you can do in lane. It's going to increase your damage a little bit. I don't know if you'll be able to pull off this combo in a team fight, right? Because you're just going to be spamming your abilities for the most part. And if you have full cooldown, you kind of just want to spam your abilities. But when you're in laning phase and you have like, let's just say you're sitting on Warrior Tab by, Stone of Gaia and Glad Shield, this auto cancel thing is going to increase your DPS by a lot. just like that. And you'll be able to pull it off in lane. Unless they have a jump, they'll probably just jump away from you, so you probably don't want to do that. You just want to get all your abilities off. But if you're against like a Bologna or Osiris, somebody that's like going to be brawling, that's probably the best way to perform the maneuver, right? See, it takes a while to pull it off, but like I said, this is just for the laning phase. Probably don't want to do this too much in the team fights and stuff like that. So another thing to keep in mind is that the ult takes a while to actually pull off. So that's like, what, 1 second, maybe 1.5 seconds before it actually goes off. So one thing that you can do is, since this is a long stun, 1.5 seconds, right? I just said that this probably takes about 1.5 second wind up. What you can do, especially against a character that doesn't have immunity in their kit, or it does have immunity in their kit, rather, make sure that they don't get out. You can stun them before, and that'll probably put them in execute range. Say they're sitting at about like 40%, you stun them with your 1. Then you ult immediately, right? Because that'll put them in execute range, and they'll be stunned the entire time, so they can't get their immunity off, right? So say I'm playing against Osiris. He's 40% health. I activate my 2, I walk up to him, I make sure I can hit the stun, and then I immediately pop my ult. That's the best case scenario, because then he can't ult away because he's stunned during it, and also he can't just dodge it, because like I said, it's pretty easy to dodge just because of the long windup. So that's a way to easily confirm your ult, right? The timers work perfectly with this long stun and the long windup on that. So that's a little mechanic that you guys should keep in mind. Also, just make sure that you're constantly using your 2 in fights and whatever, you know, in the lane phase, just because the cooldown on it is not that bad, 9 seconds, it's not too crazy. It's the same cooldown as your 3, so that works out really well. And it also, if you're just in between waves and you're poking, if I activate my 2 and then hit him with it, it's going to hit on both. Like, I'm going to get both procs right here. So that's basically how you do that. And also, you know, just make sure you're using your 1 off of your 2 so you get that extra physical power. I mean, you're also getting the protections from this, so constantly activating it and making sure you use your abilities is just really good. So make sure you get your 1 off before your 2 runs out, because that's going to be an extra 15% scaling to your 1. So something else to keep in mind is that even with these good scalings, they're even better when you activate your 2, because it's basically just plus 15% scaling to each of these abilities and your ult. But you're usually using your ult to just execute, right? Sometimes you'll use it for damage, but you know, that's just only in certain scenarios. So yeah, that's basically how you play him in solo as far as like the mechanics and stuff. Like I said, in the laning phase, you can use your stun to interrupt abilities. You can use it to get away from things. If you're getting ganked, you can also use your ult to just get away. It's good CC immunity. It's a good dash. See, it goes a decent way, right? And if you still have your dash up, I can close a gap from here to here with my ult, and then just dash hit them. If I hit them, I can dash again, right? So it's just really good for getting away from ganks as well. So you don't always have to use it as an aggressive option to get an execute. So that's something to keep in mind. I've played about 8 games as Achilles. I don't really know how to play him in team fights, just because every game's almost been a stomp, and I haven't been able to get to a situation where it's really close, and I have to really be careful about what I'm doing in fights, right? But as a general note, I think he's going to be played just like any warrior. You're going to want to have thorns. Let's go to make sure we have the full build. You're going to have thorns, maybe Nemean. Let's just say you had this build, right? Just a variation of the build that you could go. You're going to want to be going on their ADC, their mage. First their ADC, and usually right after that their mage, depending on how things are going. Diving the backline, like I always talk about, making sure you're diving them, making their carries life a living hell. And you actually do a lot of damage to them. If you combine your passive physical power, your scaling abilities that do a lot of damage, you're going to be autoing a lot. Just making it really annoying for them to play the game. It's basically just how you're going to be playing. You can also, something you can do, look to go, if you don't go TP, is you can maybe go blink, and you can blink in and immediately stun people, which is really useful, because it's a long stun. Like I said, 1.5 seconds, that's pretty good. So blink in and immediately stun somebody, set up, whatever ult, whatever ability you need to, and stuff like that. You are a warrior, though. Keep in mind, if you're playing this in solo, you're not you still want to clean up, but you're not looking to just sit on the sidelines until people are low and then come in and ult in, right? You're gonna want to be the one initiating, the one creating havoc, and the one making things happen for your team and creating space and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. Something to keep in mind is late game, especially in the fights. I do think it's probably good to go into your armor stance. If you're not going the movement speed build where you don't have boots, then you definitely go your armor stance, just because late game you're not really, your job isn't to really try and kill people. It's just to soak up damage, to tank phoenixes, to tank titans, stuff like that. So just having more protections and more health is pretty useful. So keep that in mind late game. But early game, laning phase, mid game, definitely keep that power. It's going to help you with your clear, your kills, getting kills, being aggressive, and stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions, ask me in chat right now, because I'm going to do like a live Q&A, I guess, with the god. We'll do this for a few minutes, so go ahead and ask now while I just mess around with him. Everybody in Twitch chat. Yeah, well, it takes a while there for me to get that full combo off, but something, and also like you can immune abilities with your ult, right? Say they're say that, you know, they're not in execute range, but I know this Bologna is about to ult me. I can just ult immediately, immune that, get the damage off, and then continue with my abilities. And also you can weave your 1 in between your 3, because like I said, it's 2 separate uses of the ability. I guess the best way to actually get the highest DPS off with this combo is to 2 before you do any of it, right? So you auto 2. That way you have the extra physical power for all this, and then you get your 1 off just in time. So that's basically the best way to do it. So okay, so we have some questions. Do you take damage in your ult, or is it iframes? No, you take damage in it. You can be killed during it. Also, if it's not like they can beads your ult. They have to Aegis it or use like an immunity like a Chang'e 2 or Ramen 2. So there's no beadsing it like an Outquang ult. So it's like a Thanatos execute. Do you think he's better in jungle or solo at the moment? It's hard to tell. His scaling is really good, so I think he's definitely viable in the jungle. I do like him in solo. He has some really, really good matchups, so it's hard to tell right now. I can't really say. Just for solo in general, would you go TP over other actives? I've been going TP every game. I like it a lot. I think it's pretty good with this map and just how things are working. And if you have a team to work around with, to communicate with and stuff like that, I think it's really good. Maybe even better than most, because you can upgrade it early. I like upgrading TP early and then, you know, TPing over to gold and making sure I have an impact on the game, especially in ranked. That's why I especially like doing it right now, is because it's really hard to carry from solo and ranked right now. So having an impact on the other side of the map is really good. Upgrading your TP to do that. So yeah, can you show how you blew up the minions again with your 2 and 1 thing? Yeah, I can't show it too well just because there's no soul laner for me to hit, so I can group up the minions. But what the thing is I activate my 2, I walk up, I auto the enemy solar, the minions come to me, I hit him with it, and I also just use my 1 while my 2 is active. So I'm just grouping up the wave by hitting him with my dash and getting the second hit. How effective is the Warriors plus Breastplate tier 1 on him? It's definitely good. The Warriors plus Breastplate tier 1 is good on everybody just because you take 0 damage from everybody. If you're against a physical, it's definitely an option you can go. I just like to rush boots usually, so I can win lane super hard. Also, fineokay, where is he in terms of where do people attack and when he ults? What do you mean? He does take in something I forgot to mention, guys. He takes increased damage from his backside, right? Oh, okay, no, it's not from behind. That's dodgy. So he just takes increased damage from everybody 10% more. So and I think it stacks too. So if you get 4 executes, it will be 40%. But that doesn't matter at all. If you get 4 executes, you're going to be winning the fight anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Are you going to play another game with him? Probably not. This is probably the last one because I have scrims at 6. So like, how hard is he to hit when he ults, and can use it to escape as well? Yeah, you can use his ult to escape. I was talking about that. It's decent range, and also it gives you CC immunity, so that'll help for that. And you can immediately use your dash. Say like I ult out, and then I turn around, hit them with my dash, and then dash again. That's a really good gap closer and way to get away. Who's his worst matchup? I don't really know yet. Like I said, I've only played 8 games, and I haven't really been able to play against him. But in theory, I think Hercules is probably going to be the best matchup against him. Haven't been around that much lately. Best solos in game to you, Alec? I think a lot of the Guardians are viable right now. I think the best solos are probably Colin still. This god is obviously going to be really good. I think Osiris is still good. Just stuff that wins lane super well on their own. Where's his hitbox when he's ulting? What do you mean? It's him. It's just him. It's just on him. Also, I don't have Like it's just normal hitbox. He's just CC immune during it. What are some matchups he may struggle with or do really well in? I think he will actually do, like, Osiris and Bloodhound win a lot of matchups, and they're super high pressure, but I think this god will do really well into them. Yeah, the end of that. Would you say in his current state he's the strongest laner at the moment? Possibly. I don't really know, but he's definitely top 3, top 2. So yeah. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to end the Q&A there, guys. I really appreciate everybody asking me questions and all that. This god is super fun, so I recommend you guys do try it. He's really fun to play with. He's quick. I liked his agileness, I guess, because he's got a dash here. He's got 2 dashes here. His abilities are nice. They feel good immediately, you know. Just being able to like quickly dodge stuff is cool. You're going to be able to dodge a lot of abilities and juke a lot of things with his combat dodge, which is cool. It's fitting for the name, so yeah, have fun playing this god. I hope you guys learned a thing or two from watching this god guide. I did do it live over at twitch.tv/fineokay, so come watch me over there whenever I am streaming. Maybe you can catch one of these god guides live and ask me a question or something. I don't know. That'd be cool. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, so yeah, later, guys. All right, guys.